Hello guys. So I guess you can see my screen now. Let's start with our revision a bit. So what we did in last session. So till now, what we have completed, we have already discussed everything about sales document type. We have discussed everything about item category. Also, in the last session, we talked about schedule line category. And additionally, we executed one of the scenario of third party order processing end-to-end scenario in our last session. We have copied various document types and created our own document types like ZORD, ZQT, ZCQ, ZIN, and so on and so forth. So we copied SAP standard document type to create our own document type. And ultimately, all this information has made us ready that we can now execute simple sales order creation or a quotation creation or an inquiry creation or a contract creation. That much system setup we have understood till now. What we need to, as a next step, understand is we are only at a sales order, but sales order is not the only document, right? Our sequence goes from sales order to the delivery, delivery to the billing, and that means that is a concept of how data gets copied from one document to the another document. That concept is known as copy control. So my plan is to continue today to discuss the sales order relevant copy control concept. And additionally, because till now we discussed document type in its basic setup, but we did not touch till now incompletion procedure, partner determination procedure inside the sales document level, or a text determination procedure inside the sales document level. So today I want to pick up the incompletion procedure concept, and I want to also explain you that as one of the topic. So my target is to cover today copy control concept of the order to order or order to billing or order to delivery concept. And second scenario, I would like to cover incompletion procedure, why it is there, how it is there, what is the setup. It's very straightforward process, but it makes sense to configure it correctly. And we will do some testing by adding one of the field into the incompletion that if you have to design something by yourself, how can you manage that? So that's what we will today cover. But let's quickly touch base to see if anyone has any question on our last session. So we talked about how the third party order processing scenario works. We talked about relationship with our example, which you are seeing in the screen. As one of the key point, we also discussed about returns process. What SAP standard suggests as a returns process and how does it work out. So that's the part which we discussed till now on the returns perspective. Then we, in our last session, talked about the item category determination. In the item category determination, we actually talked about key criteria, document type, item category group, usage, and higher level item, and how it results in the default item category. So we did some of the testing, like creating the document type and standard item category group from our material master, and I showed you guys that how the system determines the actually item category and how the manual item category concept works. Later, we tried to see the concept of usage and higher level item by utilizing the free of charge scenario or BOGOF, buy one get one free scenario. And based on that, we understood how system looks for the usage field free and higher level item TAN, and then subsequently determines the lower item. So we covered item category determination. Obviously, we talked about this particular part, basic configuration, and also we talked about how the item category determination works, or if you have one material code with two different item category need, what would you do? What are your differentiating criteria? Why you will have to create multiple sales orders in one situation compared to the another situation. So we talk about those differentiating factor also. Later, we move to the schedule line category setup. We talked about other basic setups and general configuration, but later we moved to the schedule line category setup. There we understood what is movement type, how the system considers the movement type, why there is a flag of item relevant for delivery, which we had not considered earlier. How system considers where are the controls related to the availability check, product allocation, transfer of requirement, and so on and so forth. And one of the most important thing which we talked about was how third-party item category setup works in the system. Then we also discussed about the schedule line category determination based on item category and MRP type, and what are the setup. And the one item which is selected on the screen, you can see TAS, which is linked to the CS item category, which is for the third party order processing. Then we actually tried to create a sales order with that one, and we saw that how the schedule line category got determined, how purchase requisition tab came up, and that enabled us for the subsequent processing of the third party order processing. So after seeing all this scenario, we went through the third party order processing. So this much we had covered in our last session. Before we go with our copy control as well as incompletion procedure topic, I would like to ask if any one of you have any question from our last session.
So Jasdeep here, so we discussed the configuration of the schedule line category last time because I missed the class. I mean, I was going through the recording, but I just went 1 hour, 20 minutes. I guess
Yeah.
we discussed that.
Yes, we discussed the schedule line category configuration, how the
Mhm.
determination works, and how this whole scenario translates in the third party order processing. So once you will complete the complete scenario, towards the end you will see we touch base S4HANA spatial functionality in the third party order processing scenario, and how the data copy, data flow, and all those setups works.
Okay.
So reach till end, and you would understand that particular part as well.
Because I was like parallelly going through an issue where just I'm not sure what exactly is the difference, but stock is not getting confirmed to a repair order, but the same stock, I mean replacement stock, otherwise is getting confirmed to a regular order. So that's why I just was more
Mhm.
curious about it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that would be more into the your stock availability check setup, and schedule line category would have just one checkbox.
Right,
So that does not look into that. That's just a kind of an activation. So
right.
in our last session, you would find more interesting part is how the third party order processing scenario works, and how the
Mhm.
data flow in the to and fro between purchase order and sales order works.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Then let's start with the first. We will do the initial discussion of the copy control, like why, how, what is the purpose of copy control concept. So 1 second. So today we'll start with copy control. Now, if we think about our standard order processing, right? So how this process works. Standard order processing is very simple, right? You have a sales order. Now we are talking about own stock scenario, okay? So you have a sales order. You ultimately create from a sales order delivery. And from a sales order delivery, you create the billing. There is a good chance this sales order may have a previous document. That may be, for example, a quotation. So because you had earlier agreed with the customer based on some quotation, so there is a quotation as a reference. You have agreed for some pricing in the quotation or certain quantity. So you are using that quotation as a starting point, and then you actually went with the sales order creation. And then from sales order, you created delivery, and from delivery to the billing. Now, if you think about this group, anything which is sales order, contract, quotation, inquiry, all those item proposal, all those setups are considered the sales document, right? sales document in general word, if you don't want to really describe them. And the digit for the sales document is A. Why I'm saying this, you will realize later. There is a shortcut to remember certain transaction code, and that's why I'm saying this particular part. But ultimately, it is a sales document, right? This is a delivery portion, and this is a billing portion. Now, if there is a from quotation had some information, right? Quotation had information about quantity, your customer information, your pricing information. It may have, if you have activated the availability check at the quotation level itself, then it may be having availability check information, many other information, terms, conditions, anything like pay, what is your payment term, what is your income term, many other information can be there. When you create a sales order, you don't want to punch each and every information which is there, and that's why you are copying or referencing quotation, referencing the sales order with reference to the quotation, right? You are trying to fetch the information of quotation as it is in the sales order. That's our purpose. This copying information from one document to another, copying information from one document to another document, that is called copy control. So that is the whole purpose. Now, if I think about this situation, I can have various kind of copy control, right? If I think of, I want to create sales order from the quotation, right? So quotation to sales order. This is called order to order copy control, because both are considered as a sales document, right? So order to order or sales document to sales document copy control, right? If I think sales order to delivery, our normal standard scenario, that means it is an order to delivery copy control. I can have delivery to billing. That means there is a separate setup of the copy control which is obviously, as name says, delivery to billing copy control. These are very much straightforward and standard scenario, right? But and you can see this particular three copy control which I'm mentioning comes as part of normal sales order processing. But can there be the scenario for order to billing copy control, sales order to billing? Which scenario would you consider for this, where you are creating billing document with reference to sales order? Where would you have to create that?
In that same third party.
Correct. That's true. Third party. And this became your order to billing scenario. There are other examples as well. Which else you can think of? Third party is one.
Credit memo.
Exactly. Your CMR DMR processing. There is one more, if you can think of. We have discussed returns. If you remember, returns at the special process I had said. Also, you can have contract to billing as well. If you have some kind of periodic billing like your rentals, then you have a long-term contract and you are directly billing from the contracts. So you can have contract to billing scenario as well. So there would be some of the business scenario where you may need sales order to billing copy control, because you are creating billing directly from the sales order in the one step process. Let's think it other way around. Billing to sales order. Which scenario will fall in this criteria, where you have to create a from billing to sales order? Anyone? Simple example is your returns. You
Sales
can have a
return.
need. Yeah, sales return, right? You have a need. You need to initiate your return order, but your requirement can be that if I have delivered, then I am returning, right? So simple case would be, and you want to copy really the pricing at which you had sell the goods to the customer. So imagine your scenario that if you create return order complete independently, then definitely system will pick up the current pricing which is applicable, and then system will go ahead and give the credit memo of current pricing. But imagine you went to the supermarket, bought something at the $100 price, but that point of time there was some discount was going on, and it was a $200 product which was a 50% discount, $100. Now there is some problem, so you want to return it. If the scenario is not running based on invoice, like invoice reference for the returns process, what will happen? What was the original price? System will pick up at that point of time if the sales is gone, like sales offers is gone, and he's directly creating return order. System may end up proposing the $200, which is an original price, and where customer will get the more credit than ideally how much he's entitled for. Obviously, any customer will take a benefit out of it, but that's why systems and processes are also smart enough to make sure that any sales order is always any returns is always, or at least must, or more or less with a check, is reference to the invoice and not without reference. So that's some common scenario where you would need with reference to billing document. Many of the cases free of charge order is also one of the case, like because something you sent and that went scrapped or got spoiled on the way. Now that's some kind of product which you don't return, but you have to still give the replacement product to the customer. In those cases, you would still use reference of the invoice to provide the free of charge product. So there also you may ask for the free of charge things, or what do you call, you may ask reference of the invoice. Against that invoice, I am sending one more free product because there is some problem. So these are the scenarios where you would need a billing to sales order. I think we covered more or less all key scenarios. So ultimately, your situations are not too many: order to order, order to delivery, delivery to billing, order to billing, and billing to order. So there are like 5-6 scenarios are there which can be the different processes where you have a need for copying the data. But when we are talking about copying the data, let's think about some practical situation. Let's think more from a pricing point of view. Okay, so key points for the, let me put it as the key points for copy control. Obviously, system configuration we will learn or see, not a point, but first we will do the theoretical point of view. Pricing. If you are copying the document from quotation to sales order, how do you want your price to be behaving? Do you want your price to be copied as it is, which whatever was there in the quotation to the sales order? For example, in quotation it is €100 price or 100 USD price. Do you want the same in your sales order? Or would you want that at this level system should redetermine the price? What would you want? What is your preference if you are a designer, system designer? Anyone?
It should redetermine the price.
It should redetermine the price. Okay. Anyone has a different view? Okay. See, yes, it depends on the really the company and product how you are handling. One of the example is if your quotation is something which is binding. For example, That's the quotation which you are giving in your government tenders and so on and so forth. Then definitely you have to copy the price which is there as part of the quotation which was approved with the government. Then you would have to copy as it is the information. That's why you would not redetermine price. But the word price is very generic, very broad. Actually, when we think about price, we really need to think about price in a multiple factor. We need to think about price. Price as in systems automatic determined price. What is automatic determined price? When I say automatic determined price, I'm saying if in the system I have a customer A and material B, I have set up the price there for this customer. If he buys the material B, always I will charge him 80 USD. This is my automatic price condition record in the system, right? So this may get determined. First thing, this can be one example, right? In this same situation. But our quotation had agreed 100 USD because we had considered some other government problems, breakup and all. We increased our margin and that's why. So redetermine price. If you do the redetermine price in this scenario, system will actually determine the 80 USD. Also, you need to think, you may have some prices in the quotation which may be manually updated. Then you have to always think that if you ever do the redetermined pricing, system will by default approaches. There are variations, but we have to consider that while redetermining the prices, do I copy the manual information or manual prices as it is and redetermine the rest of the pricing? You have to think about it. You have to understand the business, understand the scenario, and you have to decide based on these combinations. Or you may have a situation where you want to copy all information as it is, only you have a need to redetermine the taxes. Why redetermine the taxes? Where there can be a situation where you want to copy the price as it is, but you want to redetermine the taxes only. What can be the situation, guys? Can you suggest? Or can you think of a real business scenario? Okay, I'll give you one example. In India, for a very long time, we had a GST LST concept, right? And different places had the different local sales tax and general sales tax and so on and so forth. So in those kind of situation, you are determining some tax information based on ship to party's location. And at the time of quotation, you may not have all information about each and every ship to party. So you may have agreed for the price and so on and so forth, but still you are still interested that your taxes gets determined correctly. Your taxes may be differing depending upon which state you are sending. It may be inside the state, it may be outside the state, so many other reasons. Or it may be specific date onwards, the tax percentage is increasing, specific date onwards, tax percentage is decreasing. These all business scenarios we need to think about when we think about the copying the data from one document to another document. You may have to even think that you can have the situation where you don't want to change anything as it is. Complete pricing should be copies as it is. What kind of scenario would be there where without any change you want to copy each and everything as it is? Can you guys give me one of the example? Any scenario or any situation where you are thinking to copy the pricing information as it is, or you should consider that way. I'll give you the same example which we were talking about, returns. If I had charged someone based on one invoice and now I'm creating a returns order, then better I copy each and everything which was there in the earlier pricing. This particular time, I would really prefer to copy my prices exactly, including my taxes. Why? Because on the day when I had probably provided the material, tax percentage was lesser, probably 18%, but government had changed overnight. And now from when he's returning, the tax percentage is probably 16%. Then in those cases, I really want in my return order copying the tax information from my invoice. That means I don't want any kind of redetermination, not only price, not even tax. I want price to be copied as it is. So when you think about any kind of copy control, one of the important criteria which we have to think about is pricing copy. Another important criteria is a quantity copy concept. What is quantity copy concept? Imagine you have a contract, right? And you have in contract, you have 100 quantity. When you create a sales order of 20, how you should think, how system should behave? Technically, now should system consider that remaining quantity is 80 after this. That means the effect of copying from a contract to the sales order is negative for the quantity. Sorry, positive for the quantity. In this scenario, like from a behavior point of view, we call it positive. That means positive from the point of view of sales order has got that quantity. And that's why it is considered a positive quantity. But if I am copying just from the data perspective, from delivery to pro forma invoice, then I would call it like, no difference, nil or neutral as in 0. So I would consider as a neutral scenario where, because this is pro forma invoice, it does not do anything from the quantities perspective. So even if I have a delivery quantity 80 and ultimately 20 in this example, and ultimately I create out of 20 the pro forma invoice for 20, there is no impact. My still the delivery quantity is as it is. It's not real invoice. So the quantity impact is nil. But if this is the same scenario and I'm considering from delivery to billing, the normal standard billing, then this is a positive impact because system is reducing the quantity. Out of 20 quantity, if I do the 10 quantity billing, definitely remaining quantity is only 10. So system has to consider that as a positive effect. What can be the example of negative effect? If I create return order from invoice to return order, if this is the copy, that means earlier I had some quantity of, like I had already invoiced certain quantity, but now there is a return. That means it adds the quantity back. It opens up the quantity for me. And this scenario will have to be considered as a negative quantity. So this is something which we have to think the moment we start thinking about the copy control concepts. And this is very generic, not these concepts are not related to the SAP. These are more related to the business concept. One of another thing which we should always think about is criteria. You do not want, if you will really think more in detail of this scenario or a situation, you may have some situation or some criteria where you want to really put some restrictions. Simple example, you have a contract for customer A as a sold to party. Okay, this is your SP, sold to party, and you want to create subsequently sales orders out of it from the contract. But better you be careful and check that your sales order, are you creating for the same customer or not? Why this thing matters? Yes, this thing matters because when you are doing this contract creation, if incorrectly some other customers are consuming or creating the sales order with reference to that contract, they will get the better pricing out of the contract, and in reality that may not be the correct situation, or they may consume the quantity of the contract and actually it was supposed to be consumed by another customer because he had some favorable agreement for the pricing against consumption of the quantity. So you may want to stop sometime. You want to stop. You want to put the validation or a filter criteria from copying the information. Imagine another scenario. You are copying from contract to the sales order, an item. Let's think from item point of view. Okay, same scenario, item point of view. If in contract some items are rejected, okay, there is item 10, 20, 30. This item 10 is rejected. There is a reason for rejection. Just for an example, 21, customer rejected. This is the reason why customer has rejected this item. And when you create a sales order, do you really want this item to be copied or not? I would say no, you don't need it to be copied. And that means this is the situation, or this is the scenario where I really need to think about what kind of information should be copied and what kind of information should not be copied. Imagine another scenario. You want to copy quotation to sales order. Probably it would, and both of them has the availability check available. Okay, both has availability check. That means you have a confirmed quantity or an information at the quotation level, and that you want to copy in the sales order. Definitely your approach or your thought process should be that no, I do not want to really copy the items which are not confirmed. Can be one of the scenario, right? Not confirmed item should not be copied. So this is now, as a point number 3, what we are talking about is a filtration concept or a validation entry, where if certain criteria does not match, system should not copy or give the error or informs somehow to the user that you cannot create this document, or certain information will not be copied from one document to the another document. This concept in SAP is also there as it is, and that is called as a requirement routine. What we call requirement routine. This is a very important concept. Ever in any of the places, if you will come across the wordings and if you hear the word requirement routine or requirement, that simply means that system is making sure that there are certain filter criteria or validation rules are implemented, and if those validation rules are fulfilled, then only system will go ahead for any action, otherwise system will stop at whatever level it is. So that concept is requirement routine. In reality, what it is? In reality, it is just a small program to do some simple task. This is what it is, nothing else. You have to just assign it that condition at the right point of time. And this concept of informing your ABAP guy or a technical person, that information, that responsibility comes on us as a functional people. We need to make a decision. Yes, we understood that we have to have the validation, but where should you put the validation? Between order to order, order to delivery, delivery to billing. Why? At a header level, you should put the validation, or item level, you should put the validation. Those all criteria, those all consideration needs to be given by the functional team, and then you provide those information. So that's more about the filter criteria. And fourth point is very simple. At the end of the day, from one document to another document you are copying. So you are going to have 3 basic information data. If you think order to order information, that means you have a VBAK header data, VBAP item data, VBKD business data, VBPA partner data, right? Header, item, business, partner, and some other information like billing plan information or something is there. Then it would be some special conditions, billing plan information or probably contract information, VEDA, contract information. So there can be some more special situation as well. But ultimately, this is the data which we are targeting to copy. So these all data is in the table. SAP has written dedicated program, or like small program. The way I said the requirement routine is a small program. Data transfer routine, it is called data transfer routine, and that is also a program. Simply, it's a program, small program. So there is a dedicated setup done by the system, and system SAP, and it gives us the program. Why does it matter for us as a functional guys to know there is a program, why there is a program, and so on and so forth? It does matter more from the point of view of what if you need to add some custom field or some field or information at the table level, but by default system copy programs are not considering that field. Then what? Then you may have to modify that data transfer information. You may have to add some of the new information, or you may have to change the behavior of the information, how that information is passing from one place to the another place. Those are the that point of time you will inform your technical guy. You know, man, in copy control at this particular place, there is a header information getting transferred. I want to change this behavior. Can you please do the coding for me? Update the new small copy program and provide me the information. They will come to this particular routine. As a principal, they will also copy that program, whatever is given by the SAP. They will add their own code inside that, and then they will give you the new program, which is actually just a digit. We will see it in some time in the configuration. So these are the four important topic which you should consider. There are many more topic. I'm not saying that these are the only important topic. There are many more other topic as well, like small functionality. You see, imagine you have a configurable material concept, or you have a sales bomb concept. Then at the time of quotation or a contract, you had that sales bomb information or free of charge information, free goods determination information is there. Do you want, when you copy the information to the one document to another document, you may have to think, do you want it to be copied as it is, whatever is there, and do not re-trigger that free of goods concept, or your configurable materials bomb explosion or anything else? Or you really want only the main information to be copied and let system one more time determine those functionalities? So like material determination, if you remember, we had talked about that functionality. So it is literally up to us to decide what are the key small topics and how we want this behavior. When we do the configuration, people make mistakes typically in this criteria, in our criteria of the pricing. This is the area where whenever the people does the copy control in setup for their own scenarios, they would always by default rely on whatever is the SAP standard, but they would not apply their own thought process how from a business point of view they need, or what business need, because you have to adopt your criteria. We have many of the setup where we had to adopt and go different than the SAP, because we had to think the way how I put up the scenario of the pricing situation, or I put up the scenario of the quantity situation, and so on and so forth. But many of the cases only in copy control you will find problems is the one simple fields configuration, which people may not have given the proper thought. But important part, pricing, quantity copy, requirement routine, and data transfer routine. These are the four most important part. And then there are some more additional configuration. Let's look at the system. So now we will go into the system, SAP. So you all can see my screen, right? In the cells, immediately you are seeing this copy control for sales documents. I'm going to go inside that. And then here it is just talking about two kind of copy control, which is related to sales document to sales document, and billing to sales document. For the sales document to sales document, I'm going to take a general example of quotation to the sales order copy, but you can apply that ultimate rule to any of the scenario which you want to think about. So let's look at this, and then we will relate it back to our session, our theory discussion which we did just now. So here on this configuration node, you can see the sales document to sales document. The bad part of this one is it does not write what is the source and what is the target. But if you will see here on the screen, you can see very much clearly it says on the screen itself, it says that this is the source and this is the target. So target is first, source is later in this example. Now let us try to search for our case. Okay, so I understood first one is a target. I want OR or a sales order copy from the quotation. So my second one is actually the source and first one is the target. Okay, so I want quotation to the sales order copy, order to order copy concept. Let's see. Here is the first entry, quotation to the sales order. I select that particular entry and now I'm going in details. You can see this details. So I'm going inside the details section. Inside the details section, what you are seeing, this is the header information. So you can see this yellow color bar. It's right now we are at the header level. What system tells us? Header level, it says just this is a by default coming information from quotation. You are trying to copy something at the sales order level, QT to OR, fine. And then first thing you are saying is in the standard setup, there is a copying requirement. Now, what I said about requirement routine or a program related to requirement is a validation criteria set up by the system or option provided for the system. It will do the copy concept or whatever action it is supposed to do if the conditions mentioned in that small program is fulfilled. Here the condition says header, same customer, the one of the example which I just gave you, that if you are copying from a contract to sales order, that I gave you in a different perspective, but ultimately it's the same rule. If you are copying from one of the key agreement document to the subsequent sales document, you have to think about, is the sold to party same? Is the ship to party same? Does it make sense to copy? Can any of the customer can copy from my this contract? You have to put some restriction validations. SAP recommends to put 001 because ideally those subsequent documents should be of the same sold to party, and that is why copying requirement. Now you can ask always that how would I understand what does 001 is? So here at this point you can do the F4, right? And you can see this, all the routines which are SAP's provided ones are there. So some of them, like routines with the 3 are item routines. Routines with the 5 are the schedule line information routine. And these 1, 2, 8, 21, these are the header information. So system does have the automatic, like SAP's own programming or code. But if I want to find out any of this routine, what does it do? I just need to select that item. There's an I button here, documentation for that routine. SAP is nice in this point of view. They always do the proper documentation. You can see here in the example section where it exactly would mention that what is the purpose of this coding which is prepared by the SAP themselves. It right now in this example says exactly same, that you don't want your document to be copied by the different customer. That is why you always put the check as part of 001, that header customer is same. It can be many other scenario based on your business. Second thing is not much related to us now, but inside this particular part, source text, actually there would be the program written which exactly does this validation, or which exactly does this check, which is mentioned here. So this is a program inside where it is written, like, all the data or information is written, what system will check, why it will check, how it will check, what are the conditions, and so on and so forth. Like in detail, it is pretty long code if you consider, because system is covering many more scenarios in this situation and exception, these and that. However, for us, only important part is to understand what is the core setup difference as a functional guy. But then you can see some more information. This is called data transfer routine. You can see here, right? VBAK, VBKD, VBPA. These are the header information. So it is big. It says that system will copy by this setup information of these tables from the quotation to the sales order. If you will create it with reference, that's what will happen. So that's straightforward coding, and like coding mentioned, and we normally don't touch it unless and until we have a need to change system behavior. Then there is one of the setup which says copy item number, and there's one which says complete reference. Both are self-explanatory. Copy item number says in my quotation, my item numbers, my item number is 10, 20, 30, 40. In my sales order, should I copy exactly in the same sequence, same item number, or should I regenerate the item numbers? That's the copy item number concept says. And then there is a complete reference. Complete reference is more like if your quotation has 100 quantity, then by default, would system, so no, sorry. If there is a quotation and whatever is there in the quotation, can your subsequent sales order always has to consume or consider full quantity and as it is, and you cannot change that information at all in the sales order? Or you will always consume the partial information, like quotation is created for the 10,000 quantity, but you will create sales order for 100, 200 as and when customer is required. So that's up to the business process. But if there is always need that you would always copy full information of the quotation, then you should mark this complete reference check. In standard setup, you would not see that obviously, because that's more generic setup. Any question at this point of time, guys? Or if or tell me if you feel that this is really going like bit tough, or you have some questions, I'm happy to answer for that.
Rudra, I just want to know few things about the routine. What exactly? I'm not able to follow that routine word.
Routine, okay. I actually routine means in a way small program. So complete SAP, which we are seeing, right? Sales order creation, delivery, billing, all the processes, PP, QM, PP, everything. At the end of the day, in background, it's a software, right? So in background, someone has written pages and pages and pages and millions of lines of code for that program to run. Routine means the small program available which you are assigning in a different places based on your need. So what you are saying is I can control. So there is a generic program, right? But I can, by utilizing this particular programs, the way how I showed you, like 001. So there is a portion of code written here. I can use and I can write down whatever I want inside this particular portion of code, and I can assign it in between my quotation and order copy. Then system will do whatever behavior I want. So this is like a small program. This is something which is how do I say?
Yeah, I got it. I got it. I got it.
Hmm.
It's
Means
small,
you,
small parts. It has been taken from and made the program, which would be easy
for us to manage,
to
change,
manage.
control, and all. Like you went to buy a car. You
Yeah.
cannot choose your whole body of the car, right? Because
Okay.
that's a core setup. But if you want to change your leather accessories differently inside the car, you have a flexibility. There is a small configuration option, right? A small change.
Okay.
This is more like that. There's a small program which means a routine. You have a flexibility. SAP has given its own standard approach, but you have flexibility to add something inside that, modify, and put it in a
Okay.
specific place where you want it to be coming in effect.
Okay. Okay. So this is
So
the area
that's
of development where coding can be done in the backend if required.
exactly. Only thing, as a functional consultant, we should know where that area is,
Oh,
where should be assigned, because this configuration is done by us.
yes.
So
Yes.
even if your developer creates something new and now he copied this 001 and created 901, then and he will just tell you that my new coding is 901. Pralay, go and do the configuration wherever you want and assign that 901. Then now up to you to remember and identify which are my document types, from which document to which document I need to copy. Does it make sense for me to keep 001 there, or should I change it with my new condition 901, and so on and so forth. So that's why it is important for us to know the place, why, how, what. But we
Okay.
don't do the coding by ourselves. That's developer's job.
Sure. Sure.
Then we go to the item information, because whatever we were seeing till now was an header information. Now the topic here, again, remember that our source document is a quotation. So quotation will have its own item and item category. You remember we generally had talk about TAN, TAS, TAP, TAC, all those item categories, right? We had also touch base one of the item category, AGN, which was a quotations item category. So the topic is, the way how normal sales order has multiple item categories, the similar setup would be in the quotation, if you are having the quotation. So how system will behave when you will copy one specific item category from one page to the another page? Yes, Rinki.
Hey Ruth, I have one question.
Yes.
It's related to my company. See,
Mm-hmm.
we have order type for prime and non-prime
Mm-hmm.
orders. But for prime, we can create the sale order with reference. But
Mm-hmm.
for non-prime, we can't. I mean, we're not allowed to.
Hmm.
So is there any reason I can, being a SAP consultant, I can figure out like why this is not allowed by seeing in the SPRO, or I have to ask the SD consultant?
Uh, see, now, okay, so first thing, you have to now put on your SD head already that you are an SD consultant. But in general, the decision is driven by the business. What you can find out from the system is where it is being controlled to copy or not copy, or to allow or not allow. That you can find out where it is controlled. The only setup would be that they may not have done the copy control at all between referencing point of view, one document to another document. That's why you are not able to do that. And there may be business requirement for not to do. One of the example is I used to have a business requirement in my one project, sample cells. You will never ever have a referencing created for the sample cells. This was one of our ground rule, or a kind of a one of the concept. And the whole purpose behind was they were tracking the budget by the cost center, and that's why there was a special process set up inside that. So this is a business scenario, and why we had never done the referencing of option available, you cannot create sample sales order with reference to contract or any other document. So we had deleted all the copy control towards that sample. But you would not be able to find this this reason in the SAP, right? What you can find out is there's no copy control, you cannot copy, and that's all what you will find out. If you want to find out the reason why it is done, then definitely you will have to go back and talk to the guys who decided to do it that way. Sometimes you will find out a funny answer. You will find out, but there was no requirement for to do that, so we never did it. This is also that there may not be any business reason at all. But just topic was for another topics there was a requirement that we have to copy, so they specially adjusted that. Like a non-prime, probably there is no one came back with that requirement, so we never did it. So it can be any serious business reason or just a casual point. No one asked for it. I don't know if I could give you the answer of your question, but I hope you understood.
Yeah. We actually want with reference because user sometimes get confused what to enter in the config area. So I was just wanting to that have configuration.
But
So, but
definitely
for the
then,
system was not allowing. So I need to talk to.
definitely
Okay, it
then
was the right time you took
hmm,
that topic, copy control.
okay, then perfect.
Thank you.
Happy to help. Then let's look at the item category. It is not only that we stop the copying only at the document to document level. You can decide to stop even the copy at the item category level. You may have 10 different kind of item. You may have standard item as in stock item, service item, periodic billing item, and so on and so forth. But you can decide that because of my certain process, my one type of item can be copied to the next item, next document, but another type of item cannot be copied to the next document because process handles it differently. And that may be one of the, like, simple example, sales order to delivery. Obviously we are in order to order example, but I'm just to relate sales order to delivery. If it is an own stock scenario, TAN item category, then definitely I would make a configuration for order to delivery. But if it is TAS, means third party order processing, then I don't have a outbound delivery, and that means I don't need that configuration. So if my sales order has both line item, one TAN and another TAS, if you try to create a delivery, only one item will go, TAN1, not the TAS1, because system will not find configuration. System will stop it. That's something which is an item category point. So this is where you add the item categories which you want system to copy from one document to another and delete the ones which you don't want to. But you go inside the details. The view here looks actually different. In ECC1, the view looks bit more different. It's more combined kind of a view. But regardless of that, let's start from the top. What function item category provides? So see, if you will see, here is a quotation and here written is AGN item category. This is the core. But under OR, the item category proposal is blank. What does this mean? Any thoughts? I'm not expecting you guys know the answer, but at least just a thought, because SAP is very logically designed, so you can use the logic. Okay, I would give the answer. This particular field, item category proposal, this particular field actually gives me the flexibility to decide that do I want to by default force the system with any specific item category when it is copying the information. For example, simple example, I can force whenever there's an AGN, I can just come here and write down TAN. And that means system will blindly push this TAN item category whenever the with reference a document is being created. With reference to quotation, if I will create a sales order, system will not go through our item category determination concept and all those things which we discussed, right? We discussed last time. System will not go through all those things. System will blindly just pick up whatever is here and try to push it. And if the item category setup is not there, system will give you the error. But system will try to push this one. You know what is general recommendation? General recommendation is to keep this empty. This is the general recommendation. Why empty? If you keep it empty, then system has an opportunity to pass through the complete concept of your item category determination, so on and so forth, come back and provide you the right information, right approach or right setup. That's the benefit of keeping these empty. And that means system is not bound too much harder design that always by default this gets pushed kind of situation. So that's why we prefer to keep it blank. But if you really want to make your system too much strict in that process behavior point of view, then you can put item category itself. I guess I don't have to again explain you guys what is the copying requirement, but understand requirement means small requirement routine, or routine means small program. Requirement means validation criteria before it gets copied. And if you go inside, there's a 301. Everything which starts with 3 is typically it says that it's item level topic. You go and click on I and you can read the whole concept. It exactly explains the same point which I was talking about. It is talking that if the item in the source document is rejected, you should not copy. That's what is the item rejection reason. So obviously system will not copy, and which makes logical sense. And same is VBAP, VBKD, VBPA, FPLA. These are all the item related, those table information copying programs. But one of the important field which we were talking about, positive and negative quantity. So if the quotation has 100 quantity, sales order is consuming 20 quantity out of it, then which kind of quantity behavior we will call it? It sounds like a negative, but it's actually is considered as a positive behavior. Positive behavior in the sense that yes, from the quotation that much quantity is reduced and added towards, or positive or added towards the sales order part. And that's why it is considered a positive behavior. And your return scenarios are negative behavior. So this is one of that. And there are only 3 options: positive, negative, and 0. Very simple 3 options. That's all. Then this particular field is very simplified. Copy quantity, very generic information. We always keep blank, always. There are option of, it says copy order quantity, copy target on quantity, but you don't have to, because SAP has its own automatic concept of quantity determination. And that's why we don't disturb that. But here comes another interesting part: pricing type, pricing copy. The maximum error, as I mentioned, maximum error people will make while doing the concept is this particular part: pricing copy. There are, and this pricing type, we have to understand it. You will see this in the sales document level as well, but this is something which really we have to understand. Everything has a one meaning. See, if you will read, it says A means copy price elements, but redetermine the scales if it has. Scales means what? If you have a quantity 1 to 10, then I will charge you 10 USD. But if you will buy more quantity 11 to 20, I will charge you 9 USD. And if you will buy 20 to 21 to 30, I will charge you 5 USD. So this is more like a concept of scale. So it says that copy the price element, but redetermine the scales. One of the important one is B, carry out new pricing. That means everything will be redetermined. The problem with this everything being redetermined is, if in your source document there is a manual pricing available, it will be gone. You have to be very careful in those cases. Whenever we copy, we always put C, never ever B. If you have to train your people, then you should always try to train your people also to select C, never ever B. Why? Because we tend to forget about this aspect. If there's a manual price, then what? We should always select C. Copy manual price elements and redetermine the others, always. Especially whenever you are copying the information in the billing document or billing document to the sales document. We always select it as a C. Then there are some more small topic like G. This is one of the interesting factor. G, copy price elements unchanged and only redetermine the taxes. So that's something also which is one of the considerable point. Like as I mentioned, you want to copy all the information, but you want to redetermine the tax. Then you can go with a G. So there are many situation scenarios, and you have to take a conscious decision. What fits in your business process? This is these three buttons: contract, item, copy mode, product selection, and campaign determination. Generally, you don't have to utilize. But yes, product selection, our material determination, and those kind of cases are the options where system has an option. Carry out that functionalities again in the subsequent document, or you just want to copy the information. Generally, when we are in between the contract to the sales order or quotation to the sales order, we always keep it as a blank. Why? Because we always prefer system to carry out that check one more time to consider the most latest situation. You don't know how much is the time difference between your two processes. That's why. But otherwise, we keep these three options always blank. One of the section, copy schedule line, that is very self-explanatory. I don't have to even explain you, but if in your quotation you have a grid schedule concept, a grid date of deliveries, and so on and so forth, quantity confirmation, then you would prefer to copy that information. But if you mark this checkbox, that means you have to do this schedule line copy configuration as well. This is also very self-explanatory. Do not copy batch. Done. If you don't want to copy batch, mark it do not copy batch. Done. Easy. Then there is a re-explode structure of free goods. If you want a system to redetermine it in the target document, then mark that and system will consider. One thing which we have to make sure is this: update document flow. This you must mark. You want to know at any point of time, with reference to quotation if your sales order is created, with reference to contract your sales order created, from sales order to delivery document created, from delivery to invoice created, sales order to invoice created, invoice got cancelled, credit memo created. You want that document flow to be seen in your documents for easy tracking. And that is why this is one of the important aspect that we do have. We have marked the update document flow. And the last one is configurable item. If you want to really copy the configuration, or you want the guy to again reselect it. So that's the checkbox for those things. Let's check most easiest part, which is a schedule line. Generally, it depends on the business scenario, so I should not generalize it, but let's look at the BP, like MRP. There is simply one requirement, the one exactly one which I was mentioning. Scheduled quantity is 0, then don't copy the item. Okay, that's how there is a requirement. And then there's a data transfer. There's not much control here. So it's just more for the namesake. System comes back here, checks here, and then goes back. So if you have any applicable schedule line copy concept, do it. In our project, we had the quotation, but we did not have the schedule line for the quotation. So we never did this configuration because it was not required. We don't copy the schedule line information. And if the similar scenario is with you, you don't need this. If you have a contract, again, contract also does not have any schedule line. And if you create contract sales order from the contract, same situation. You don't need this. So this is all about our copy control. As I mentioned, if I want to restrict business from creating one document with reference to another document, what I would do, I would not keep it as it is. I would go back consciously inside the configuration and delete that configuration of the copy control. Why? Because I definitely want business to follow the strict process which is defined there, and not randomly they will create something with reference and something without reference and so on and so forth. But that's something which you can control by copy control configuration, as well as if you remember, we had a reference mandatory. I'll go back one more time just to relate this. We had sales document type configuration, and in the sales document type configuration, we had a reference mandatory option. And if I want to make something as a mandatory, definitely I will mark reference mandatory. Then system has to, the guy has to put that reference. Without that, system will not let him go ahead. That's something I would force for the business process setup point of view. But if I expect the reference, then I should have the copy control also. Otherwise, you will, one side you are trying to force them, and another side there is no copy control, system will be stuck. I will take a pause here. Any other question, guys, on the copy control? This has covered more or less all the generic information, and now we will see the next order to billing point. But before we move, any questions in your mind from a theory what I explained as well as configuration what we saw? Okay, I take it no as a okay. Then let's go back and we see the order to billing, because sorry, billing document to sales document, which in a, okay, that's interesting. Really? Okay, fine. Simple example. If I want to create something as a source information to the target, ideally you would never have such a blank screen. That means there is some problem in this configuration setup. Someone seems to have deleted some configuration or that this and that, and that's one of the problem of a test system. However, there is a source billing type. So for example, I have SAP standard billing type is F2, and I want to copy a return order with reference to invoice. That's my requirement. Okay, and that means my return order is RE. Oh, there's no return order. Yeah, it is there. RE returns. So I want to update this. I want to create a billing, a return order with reference to the invoice. There are options of copying requirements. I would use the same 001. There are data transfer VBAK, VBKD, VBPA. That becomes easy. I will use the SAP standard one. VBAK. No. 101. It would be way more easier if I would have copied it from the something somewhere else. But okay, billing business header data 102. Billing business partner data. Okay, I would copy it from my another system and update it later. But you guys ultimately got what I mean to say. You can just select the information, put it, copy item number, complete reference. I generally don't even copy item number. I prefer this both checkbox not to be copied. Go inside the item, go to new item, new entry, and it will say TAN. I want to copy standard item to the returns. Fine. The same story, copying requirements, whatever is there. Now here you will see the fields are reduced a bit because the amount of controls from the billing to the return order or copy is very limited. So for example, positive, negative quantity. Now question, what symbol will come here in this scenario which I'm trying to set up?
Negative.
Correct. Negative. What pricing type should I select? Keep in mind, we are copying from the invoice to the returns. What pricing type should I create? It will end up giving the credit to the customer.
D.
D.
Exactly. Copy pricing unchanged as it is everything I want. Would you have the copy schedule lines checkbox?
No,
Why not?
because we are taking from the return.
We are taking from the invoice and invoice does not have schedule lines. That's why. You are right. Do not copy batch. Would you require this? Would you mark do not copy or would you keep it blank if you are deciding? Guys,
It should allow to copy batch.
exactly. I would also do that. The purpose of batch copy is a whole end-to-end transparency. So if you are returning something, better you copy the batch, which batch is being returned, and update document flow definitely. So this is how I would end up setting up my invoice to sales document type. Now definitely you don't have to do the schedule line setup because your invoice cannot have the schedule line. You are not copying anything. You will just do this, save the information and keep moving on. I will correct this particular configuration later, but just FYI. And then you will have the similar entry here. This is one of the example of sales document to sales document and billing to sales document copy control. Let's check very much quickly what has happened to our sales documents which we created. We did created many of the things, right? So one of the thing which we created was ZQT. ZIND we had created, and ZIND we created ZQTD, right? This is the one. Now can you see that there are many random copy controls are there. See, one of the random copy control which I have selected. There is a copy control which says ZORD as a source document, means our domestic order RPE will get copied from in the ZQTD quotation. Or I don't know what is ZMD and ZQTD. From where this all copy control came? Okay, I would answer. Whenever we create any sales document type by copying, system just does not copy the sales document type, it does copy many dependent configuration, including your pricing determination, your sales document type assignments, your item category determination, your copy control informations. Everything gets copied in backend. And this is example of one of that. Because I copied with reference to OR, this all random, correct, incorrect, all configuration is there. Now, if this is my production system, as a consultant, I'm very, very picky. I do copy. I always prefer to create the configuration by copying, as you guys would have already realized. But I have a tendency, go back after completing configuration, review all the configuration and delete the entries which are not part of your business process. The way how Rinki, you were asking the question, there is one topic which has the copy control, another has no option of with reference. It may be because they would have, the guy may be picky like me and he would have decided like, random copy control also will not be there. He would have consciously deleted all the things, which is more cleaner approach and you should do it that way. So in future, if you will copy information, then only the right information comes on the ground. Okay, but what I am interested in, I'm interested in other way around. So let me use the selection concept. I am interested to see from and target. From sales document type, I want to see ZQTD and target ZORD. Let's see. So this is our ZQTD to ZORD, like quotation to sales order. And you can see all the configurations 001, 51, 101. I don't want to copy item number. I changed, removed it. I go to item Standard setup, AGN is there. I go inside. The same standard setup, copy schedule lines. I is there. If it is there, fine. Re-explode X, positive A. Complete. Looks perfect in my view. Nothing required to be changed. Go back, save. I do not want these guys. I would delete them because I don't know about them. And these are the item categories which are now allowed in my setup. Let's see our contract setup. So I want to create a sales order, for example, my ZORD with reference to my Z CQD quantity contract. This is my contract and sales order creation with reference to contract. Let's see how it is. Same setup 002 51 1011. No reference. I'm okay with this setup. Item information. There are some KMN and so on and so forth. I will use and verify KMN. Let's see. This setup is same. Positive, negative quantity, it says positive because we are consuming the quantity out of it. Pricing type is setup. Pricing type is set up as a G. Here from a contract, we are copying the sales order, right? So in this particular example, G means copy price elements unchanged and redetermine the taxes. That's such a setup has been done because in the contract you may have price agreed with the customer and taxes depends many of the cases based on the ship to party region and country, and that is why it is G, which makes sense. Other information very much straightforward, no question. Setup looks pretty decent. You do not have the schedule line in the contract, that's why you don't do the configuration for that one. So this is nice as well. Okay,
So
and
from
this,
here, you will delete all the extra item, whichever is not required for us.
yeah, means
That is the
in
best approach.
if it would be my production system, I really don't want this because I don't know
Yeah,
about them. That's not the one
exactly,
which I have
exactly.
created.
It is
So my first,
unwantedly created confusion for us and the client. Yeah, yeah.
exactly, because we don't realize this initially, but the day you are doing a configuration and system setup for template design which will be rolled out in 50-60 countries, better you be very conscious about your cleanliness of the configuration, because down the line 4-5 years you will forget everything. And more or less, I'm not saying that you will forget, but you would not be able to remember each and every discussion of the design point when what you had done. And that means you will start questioning yourself that, oh, this configuration but does not look right. Is it by mistake as a copy got is there, or it was a business requirement, that's why it is there? This is the same question you will start asking yourself over the period of time. And that's one of the reason why you should be following already the clean approach. So you always know that if configuration is done by me, it is only and only business requirement. No random configuration is placed. And now you have one directional mindset. Okay. I would like to quickly touch base, as I mentioned, incompletion procedure. I want to show you. So here, more or less, our copy control is complete. This is literally everything which is there is kind of done. We don't more or less delivery and billing. Whenever we will touch, we will look at those dependent copy control, but we will not be able to. We will not be spending too much time because the concept is almost same. So it's a more touch basing point. That's why I spend more time on this one today. I'll go to the source document. No, sorry, basic functions. And we will start with the incompletion. There's a log of incomplete items, which is weird wordings. I would have preferred incompletion procedure word. in the, even outside, but okay. There's a log of incomplete items. That these all additional functionalities are always under basic functions. So that's what where we are now.
Did we already pricing?
Sorry?
Pricing, did we already discuss? I guess not, right?
No, we did
No.
not. I have parked it because I would like to discuss pricing at the end, not at the end, but once we are done with the basic cycle setup. Because by default, I have already assigned in terms of pricing the SAP standard pricing. Pricing is something which will take almost 1 or 1.5 day, or sorry, one and a half session. And we will discuss it more in detail. When we will discuss pricing, actually even Parminder will join us. He was interested also to spend some time on that. We will reach to the pricing, but after completion of delivery and billing as well. So that means that way we will have the complete cycle setup, how you can run order to delivery to billing and basic configuration. And then we will keep jumping in the more bigger topics. So let's start with the log of incomplete items. So one of the
Just a
thing,
small request to you.
yes, please.
Probably after 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks, there would be a Dashera on the weekends. So if we
Yeah.
can, yeah. Yeah.
Can we discuss that one once we are done with this
Later. Yeah.
incompletion
Just
procedure,
a
please?
casualty. I said, yeah, sure.
Yes. Okay. Then let's carry on with the point. So it's very simple concept. Till now, everywhere we went, we always kept seeing there is a incompletion procedure, incompletion procedure, incompletion procedure. If you open the document type, and I would start with a simple example. VOV8, sales document type. You go into standard order, or let's say ZORD. You will see the incompletion procedure here mentioned, right? 11. If you go to the item category, let's say VOV7, we will go to our TAN. You will see incompletion procedure, sorry, 20, standard item. So if you even go to the schedule line category, there also you will see the incompletion procedure. What system setup says, that means every level or every individual place, there is a system setup, and in that system setup, system expects certain information to be available, like 30 general schedule line. So always there should be that information available for document to go further. So if someone will ask me a question, okay, now this is a real practical scenario which I many times face. People comes back and says, I want a error message at this point of time. In this particular, if this field is not filled up, I want an error message. My by default reaction is no, I'm not okay with your requirement. And then it will enter and end up in the long discussion. Why I said no? Why my general view is not to do that? My general view is like that because I really do not want people like 50, because this is one time one field requirement, second time second field requirement, third time third field requirement, and they will all ask, we have to give the error, we have to stop the people. Why I never prefer it? Because once the error is came, now user is in troublesome situation. He may not have that information available handy to fill up that data, and that means he has to lose the data which he has already punched in the transaction. That's one reason. Second reason, if any field is missing, my question is, why are you asking for this? So I want to stop the user from going on the next document creation, because if he goes already in the next document creation and this field is not available, then it is not okay in my subsequent process point of view. My general response would be, okay, understood. So ultimately you want this field to be filled up, and if that field is not filled up, next document should not be created. So that is the requirement. The asking if this field is not filled up, give the error, that's not the requirement in reality. The requirement is, if this field is not filled up, I have a problem. So Let's make sure this field is filled up. Otherwise, it's incomplete. Third thing is giving so many error over the period of time. It will result in a performance issue for the system. And that is something which we have to as much as avoid. So with all those cases, I would always recommend we will add that field as part of our incompleteness procedure. So let's see. Let's think about header, sales header. This is a header of information, right? Let's go. There's a procedures. So this is a group. SAP has already provided the different kind of group. Did you see there is one group is missing, which is billing? Why there is no incompletion procedure at the billing level? Any thought? Because there is sales information, there's a delivery information. Header item also, schedule line also, partner also. But there is no information about the billing. Why it is like that? Okay, I would give the answer. It's because you really expect at that there are two things. First thing, you do not directly start creating the VF041 billing document. You always have to have some kind of previous reference for the creation of billing. That's one thing. Second thing, billing comes at the end of the cycle or a chain, and only key information which happens inside the billing document is accounting procedure, or which is major procedure. I should not use the word only, but that's a major procedure. However, you do not generally put any special information except text text details, as well as some of the text classification information if you need to change. Otherwise, more or less all information gets copied from the previous document. So as long as your previous documents are executed correctly, successfully in a right way, and your other previous document setup is right, you don't need the incompletion for the billing, and SAP also understands that. So let's select the group of header. Header as in document type level or a header. Our standard is standard order 11. So we will take that as an example. So standard order. Once you select this, double click on the fields, and that takes you inside. From the system point of view, it is very simple information. If you will see, there are some guideline details given by the SAP itself. For example, document date should be mandatory. It's part of the incompletion. However, you have a configuration where you can pass the document date equal to system date. Just FYI. Shipping condition. Why shipping condition? Shipping condition because that is the information which is required for shipping point determination. That's why you should have the shipping condition, and that's why it is there. Generally, this information comes from where? Customer master. We don't realize, many of the information, even if it is part of the incompletion, we don't realize it is there or not, because those fields gets populated from different places. Same currency, customer reference. This customer reference is more like a purchase order number, Incoterm, pricing date, payment term, and so on and so forth. You just need to select. So if I have to put any field here, let's choose one field. At the header level, which field shall we make? Shall we make sales office? Sales office. So what I need to know? I need to know the technical information. Okay, field name typically. So the field name is VBAK is a header table, and VKBUR is my field name for the sales office. So okay, let's select it. It's so easy. You go into the configuration, press the new entry, table. It's in VBAK, field name, VKBUR. This is the information. Now, if you have seen the F4, every kind of a table which is there, information available, and as long as your field is inside those table, you would be able to call that particular field. That's not a problem. However, there is one problem, and that one problem is, I'll show you. You can see the screen everywhere. Why there is a screen provided? Any guessing, guys?
I think whether it is an order screen or quotation screen that way.
That is an identifier, definitely. See, if you will open, there are many screen, right? So I exactly know when I open the sales order, that's on the sales order header data in the sales tab, right? So I have an option to select sales order header and sales tab. Where is the sales tab? This is KKAU. And now I selected that. And I put that. But the purpose of providing this screen is when any field is incomplete, system will take you to that particular field. That the system will, and when the log of incomplete items will come, system will, if you will double click on it, system will take you to that screen. So it is easy for us to find out where that field needs to be updated. That's why it is taking us to the screen. And last thing, status. What is this status? The purpose of status is generally, so there is a general delivery, billing and all. Now, if you remember the requirement, our requirement was that if this field is not filled up, I really want to stop the subsequent document. But it sometimes depends that which subsequent document. You want to stop delivery, you want to stop billing, which subsequent document you want to stop. Example is, if Incoterm is not there, then it makes sense to stop delivery. But if payment term is not there, then it makes sense to stop billing. So it's a different thing. So that is why you can have different concept, and that is why SAP gives you various status group, and there is a configuration for this. We will see it in a moment. But you can decide that if, in our example, it's a sales office. So if sales office is not filled up, I want to stop everything, every subsequent things, and that means 06, this particular category matches my requirement. But you can have something where you just want to stop delivery, or you can have some scenario where you just want to stop billing. Then you have to choose accordingly, right? So I will select 06 just for the testing point of view here. Additionally, there is an option of warning. Why warning? If this field is not filled up and you are on the screen, system will give you kind of an information. Man, you are supposed to fill up this field. I will mark these warning fields just to see that just to see that experience. And then there is a sequence. Sequence is one tricky thing. So at item level, we will see that usage of sequence. So let it be there. I will explain you at the time of item level. So now I'm saving this sales order. Okay. Now this is 11 procedure name, right? I need to make sure that this is the procedure which is assigned. Now guys, I directly open the SAP standard one and started making change, but I'm going to delete it. So don't do it in general. If you have to make any changes, you are supposed to go back and do that in your own custom part. But let's open the assign. So my procedure is ready. I want to assign that procedure to document type. My document type is ZORD. So I'm searching for it, and okay, when I had copied it already, it was there, 11. So I'm good. My configuration is okay. Let's create the sales order. So I'm here. I took some basic information here and there. This customer, okay, material and quantity. Yeah, I don't want a free goods, fine. Then this is where we are. Okay, now I'm doing edit incompletion log. and system went to the sales office. Because at the time of entry, we had not updated anything as a sales office. And that's why system at least could bring in the question or details about the sales office. Double click, it directly took us to the screen. How? It took us to the screen because we gave that screen KKAU. When we gave that screen, system knows that. And it exactly identified that field where the information is missing. I don't want to fill up that for now. Okay, I'll just go at this header and I'm in the cells, right? Sales office is blank. That's interesting. I was expecting some kind of message or something, but okay.
Ideally, it should stop, right? Because we have given that,
Warning message.
yeah, warning
It
message.
should have been stopped, but it did not. That's interesting. I will check it one more time later. If there is something inside this test systems problem or something. But in general, you understood that if there is something you have set up as an incompletion, definitely system will go there and give us the information, or at least stoppage. Let's see this. I think that same warning information is here. It will give the warning. It should give the warning like this: enter customer reference. How this warning came? This warning also came because this customer reference field is there inside our configuration with the warning. I think it may not be coming because of it's a later screen. But where is the customer reference? See, this customer reference. It comes like that warning because this checkbox is done. So it will behave exactly in that way. However, now I will delete this particular entry because it's as if not SAP standard. Back to the setup. Let's see the item, one case with the item. So our standard item was 20. So let's go inside the standard item. All other information is straightforward as it is. There is no information, no surprise. Like order quantity also has the warning. If you don't fill up the order quantity, it will always give you the information pop up at that time. Table information, field name, description, screen, status, all good. Warning, we saw. Only special thing is sequence. Can you see this sequence is there? And two places, 10 and 20 is mentioned. Why? And why not anywhere else? So if you will look at that specific fields, they are quantity and plant. Why SAP standard recommends it this way? It recommends this way because if you will see many of the field like gross weight, net weight, value, pricing, many of these things are important, but for them to be determined, first system has to check if the quantity is filled up or not, because if the quantity is filled up, then automatically many other criteria gets filled up already. So it's more like a priority concept. If you update anything in this particular field, then system will first check non-blank field and sort it in that way. And in this example, it will first check order quantity is filled up or not, and second check plant is filled up or not. And then it will check all other fields are filled up or not. So that's more like a sequential point. What is the first important things to filled up? And in this same sequence also, you will see the log of incompletion log as well. You will always see the quantity as a first to be filled up. So your remaining incompletion gets sorted out by that one. So that's the whole concept, why there is a sequence. Now the topic, where do we assign our item related topics? Very simple. Go inside the item categories. Example, we created probably Zetan. I don't remember, but probably no, it's not our, someone else has created. But here you upfront come and assign it, and automatically you see in the item category setup. Here I will take a pause. This was incompletion concept. This is the same concept everywhere. So we are not going to discuss it anymore. In delivery, in header, delivery item, or in the sales order schedule line, everywhere it is exactly same concept. Nothing is different, nothing is changed. Recommendation, always try to utilize the incompletion log instead of trying to give the error during the by custom validation during the document creation. Better to utilize the incompletion log. With this, guys, next topic, like it's too small time period for us to start the next topic. So if you have any question, I'm happy to answer. Else we will end today's call. Any questions?
Through this incompletion thing, we can set the mandatory field also, like we have to have enter that field, else you won't be able to move on.
See, you can. So you remember in the sales document setup, we had one topic. One of the checkup was at the sales document type level was, would you allow sales document to be saved if it is incomplete or not? And we have by default mark that document to be allowed for the save even if the document is incomplete. Why? Because you don't want people to lose that change. So it depends on your theory or in your general alignment with the business, that you want them to be stuck without updating that information. They cannot save the document. Then yes, you can do that. That's as good as giving them the error that fulfill this information, else you will not be able to save. If you allow them to save, incompletion allow, but ultimately document will be marked as incomplete, and that means subsequent processes will not work. That's also as good as okay, it is not as good as error for the mandatory field, but it is as good as that the nothing wrong will happen if you because user cannot execute that document further, and that means he has to go back and do that. So for me, all such situation I would always utilize the incompletion log, but you cannot call it that it will give you the error, right? It's more like it will keep the document in under hold. I don't know
Okay.
if I answered your question or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other question, guys? If not, our tomorrow session, I would take up partner determination at the sales document level and text determination at the sales document level. And we will then continue with the basic configuration of the logistics as in delivery, and then subsequently we will focus towards the billing, and we will keep taking one basic functions topic in our sessions. So we will slowly in parallel cover all the functionalities which are there, and pricing we will definitely go through the more detailed setup once we have done the overview of the setup, system setup. Then guys, with this, have a nice evening and talk to you tomorrow. Bye bye. One of the question Pralay asked, Pralay, which day you wanted to, you were talking about the day off? Which one?
That is of October actually. I am very much early 1 month.
Wha- 1 month.
October
Which date?
26. Yeah.
Oh man, that's so
I'm
long.
so sorry for
Let's
that.
talk at that point of time. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
mind as long as everyone else is okay as well. You know, I don't
sure.
have any restriction. So you
Yeah.
can check internally between yourselves, guys, and decide. Inform Arsh at the end of the day, whatever you guys decide, and I'm fine with that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Then thanks a lot, guys, and have a nice remaining day or evening. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone.